ito for sure na-encounter niyo na 'to dahil pinagbabasa ko na kayo. Kapag nagbabasa tayo kadalasan, we can get confused in the process kapag hindi natin naiintindihan kung ano yung ibig nilang sabihin, okey? Nagde-develop naman yung vocabulary natin eventually, pero yung mga bagay-bagay about the world around us, kadalasan hindi naman tayo, tawag dito, nung pinanganak tayo hindi naman tayo binigyan parang isang set of dictionary kung paano natin iintindihin ang mga bagay-bagay. Eh, that's just a formal concrete, depiction, but in terms of how we try to understand the world, we are not given this, black and white rule, on how we should define things or how the concepts that we encounter are clearly stated or understood. And sometimes even the scholars are still grappling on its definition, lalong-lalo na kapag marami siyang ibig sabihin. When we are using the terms, when we are using a term in a conversation, you can always ask, in a dialogue what the author means or hindi pala author yung kausap mo. What yung what they mean, 'di ba? Kung sino man yung kausap mo, we can always ask, can I clarify what do you mean about this? What do you mean about that? Okay, when you use this, term, okay. Um and of course, graciously kung hindi, iritable yung kausap natin na lagi tayong nagtatanong about what they mean. Nabibigyan naman tayo ng, clarity kapag, ino-offer nila yung ibig nilang sabihin. But not all the time, yeah, in a conversation, meron din tayong tinatawag na principle of charity. So, in writing naman as a reader kumbaga, nagpa-practice din tayo ng principle of charity. Ang ibig sabihin nun, kung hindi man, na-articulate ng maayos or hindi explicit yung pag-define at paggamit ng term ng kausap mo or hindi nga nailapat lahat ng statements para maging tuwid yung sinasabi niya. Yung principle of charity ang ibig sabihin, kung ano yung potential na best way na maintindihan mo para na maintindihan mo yung ibig niyang sabihin, i-a-assume natin na yun na yung ibig niyang sabihin. However, in formal writing, mahirap i-apply ang principle of charity dahil um, maraming ngang, ibig sabihin ang isang term. Kaya kapag sa formal writing, another problem din when it comes to written format at hindi mo kausap yung taong nag-state nun, hindi ka na makakapag-follow up question na, "Wait, what do you mean? Wait, what do you mean?" 'Di ba? So, ikaw, ah, bilang writer, okay, so use that hat as a writer, kailangan mo ng maging malinaw every time nagpo-provide ka ng term or gumagamit ka ng term. Sa unang-unang beses pa lang na ginamit mo yung term, 'wag mong i-assume na naintindihan ng reader kung ano yung ibig mong sabihin, okey? So halimbawa na lang, sabihin na natin na lahat tayo may background in psychology at 'pag ginamit mo 'tong term na 'to ay naintindihan ka. Um, Siguro in a conversation, okey lang yun. Dahil kung hindi ka naman niya naintindihan, you will just get the cues yung ng mga tao na they're puzzled or blank na silang tumingin sa'yo kasi they no longer follow what you're saying. But in written form, hindi mo na alam yun, na ganun na pala yung nafi-feel nila about what you're saying. Kaya bilang writer, again, assume the role of a writer, kailangan mong maging generous at kailangan mong maging clear as much as you can about what you mean. So, to practice that, yung notion na we need to be clear, we need to be generous, ah, sa mga sinasabi natin, magsisimula tayo sa pag-define ng terms. Ang kadalasan kong na-encounter 11:36, I need to stop ng 12, sige 12, okey, 12:5, okey, okey. Kadalasang nano-notice ko, ito, sa thesis writing, ah, ang napapansin ko 'pag gumagamit ng term, they always begin with the statement about the term. Halimbawa, if I talk about justice, I will not define it first, but I will talk about justice in a way na I will talk about how important it is, how it should be uh, it should be pursued by the society. Meron agad tinatawag na normative statement, or meron ka ng uh, pine-prescribe or ina-assume na kung anong tama na gawin, no? So, anyway, apart from that, baka malito kayo. So, kung ano man yung statement na yun, mahirap sundan yung statement about the term kung hindi mo pa na-define kung ano yung ibig mong sabihin. Kaya, ang unang agenda nyo kapag magsusulat kayo ay i-define nyo muna kung ano yung term nyo, di ba? Yan yung pinaka-basic na kailangan yung gawin whenever you are writing. So, halimbawa na lang sa ginagawa nyong, halimbawa, magsusulat kayo tungkol sa isang bagay, meron kayong claim, meron kayong statement, kailangan malinaw muna kung ano yung tinutukoy nyo. At wag nyong iasa sa reader na naintindihan niya kung ano yung ibig nyong sabihin. Ikaw, role mo yun, trabaho mo yun. Okay? Definition is a statement about words and not a statement about things. So let's say if I ah, okay, let's say if I talk about uh the term courage, I would say, let's say courage is a virtue about. So that's a definition. So an example of a statement about courage, courage should be uh observed when making a decision, something like that. Okay? So you see the difference? Defining it is different from making a statement about it. Okay? So a term signifies characteristics of things. Sa psychology, halimbawa, ang tinutukoy mo ba ay trait? Ang tinutukoy mo ba ay isang psychological state? Ang tinutukoy mo ba ay behavior? Ang tinutukoy mo ba ay, let's say, affect? Ang tinutukoy mo ba ay cognition? Ang tinutukoy mo ba ay state of the world? Ang tinutukoy mo ba ay, ano ba? Isang belief? Ang tinutukoy mo ba ay isang worldview? Yun, marami siyang ah, kailangan mong i-clarify ano muna itong tinutukoy mo bago ka magsulat ng dalawa, tatlong paragraphs ng mga statements about the term. Okay? Kasi masasayang yung tatlong paragraphs mo na yun kung sa unang-una pa lang hindi ka nag-define ng term. Malilito yung reader mo. So again, we need to be generous sa ating reader. Okay? So what is it not? Okay? So to give examples is not defining a term. To give a description is not to define a term. To give a figure of speech is not to define a term. Kadalasan naman hindi ko na-encounter itong provision of figure of speech, no, sa mga nagte-thesis. Pero ito, maganda siya to clarify. So, defining is different from, ano ba yung sign ng clarifying. Hindi ko alam yung symbol kung paano ita-type yun. So, ito, pwede to clarify a term. Kasi, you are providing more information with regards to how it can be used, for instance, 'di ba? By providing example, you are stating you are pointing out how this term is being applied. You are demonstrating how you can comprehend the term, okay? So kailangan mai-provide natin ano ba yung characteristics nito nung of things for yun yung ibig sabihin ng definition of terms. Ano yung signifiers? Ano yung parang pinaka characteristic niya na humihiwalay sa iba. So i-distill natin siya, 'di ba? Kasi kadalasan yung ma-encounter, merong mga terms na parang pare-pareho lang, 'di ba? Parang iisa lang yung ibig niyang sabihin. Kaya kailangan sa pag-clarify, uunti-untiin mo ano yung mga examples na nagfo-fall under that definition of term, that term. Okay? So, the use of definitions, it is a way for us to supply the meaning of the word. Ano nga yung characteristic niya? Okay? And that a reader or listener would otherwise not understand. And ito yung lagi nating nakakalimutan. We need to restrict the meaning of the word. Kaya lagi kong pinapakita sa inyo yung example by providing definition na what it is and what it is not. Kasi you need to be mindful of that. Okay, kasi kung sinasama mo naman kung broad yung term na yun at marami kang sinasama dun sa definition na yun, then you need to recognize that ano yung scope ng definition ng term. Okay? Kung restrictive ba yung term na yun or masyadong malaking umbrella yung term na yun. Okay? Okay. So, 3 ways of clarifying the meaning of a word. We can provide examples. Okay, de-delete ko na to. We can provide examples. We can explain how it can be used. Di ba when we're developing vocabulary, kadalasan humihingi tayo ng how can it be used in a sentence? Okay? Or kaya naman maghanap ng other terms that is synonymous to it. So ito yung weakest way on how you can uh, clarify a word. But it can be useful din naman. So halimbawa, kapag sometimes ang English, halimbawa ang American English at ang British English, meron silang ibang paggamit ng terms. But they're referring to the same thing like spectacles and eyeglasses or kaya sa parang Filipino English would be a napkin, no? So a napkin for us is the feminine sanitary uh, tool. Pero napkin for I think British English would be tissue. So sa atin tissue yung term natin doon. So if ganun lang naman yung level of understanding na kailangan ma-establish, pwede siya. Okay? Na minsan kasi iba yung paggamit ng mismong words. Okay? Pero kung tutuusin, yan yung pinaka weakest link, 'di ba? Halimbawa, sa atin pag sinabing truck, yun yung malaking cargo. Sa US English, ah, tawag nila doon semi. Sa atin, tawag natin let's say SUV, sa kanila tawag nila truck, 'di ba? So if we can substitute the word kapag sa mga common language ng mga tao, pwede mo rin yang gamitin as a clarification, but that's not a definition. So the way to define a truck would be different kasi sasabihin mo ano yung characteristics niya, meron siyang halimbawa may 4 wheels, merong ganitong volume of capacity. So i-describe mo na ngayon yung ano yung mga i-identify mo na rather, i-identify mo na ano yung mga signifying characteristics na meron siya at wala sa iba. Okay? That's how definition and clarification of a term is different. Definition of a term and clarification of a term. Okay, in relation to that, sometimes when we use a term, kadalasan merong kang mahahagip sa pag nagbabasa ka na yung term na yun ay nakapaloob sa theory. Okay? Nakapaloob siya sa theory na um, para sa theory na to, ganito siya paano i-define. Definition of the term can vary according to kung nasaan siyang theory na encapsulate. Okay? So you can adopt, no? You can borrow a definition coming from one theory to another. Pero kung meron naman siyang similarities at nag-agree ka sa kanilang dalawa, maaari mo ding i-adapt 'yon in that way kasi maaring related yung theory. Okay? So sige, let's not go out too much dun sa abstraction. A theory is a system of concepts and we are trying a theory attempts to explain how the world works by having assumptions about the world. When we say assumptions, yun yung kadalasang baseline na sineset na foundation when we try to explain things. Okay? Ito na kadalasan yung hindi na natin pinaprod pa further dahil generally ina-accept na natin siya. Or at least within the realm of the theory, ito yung bagay na kung ano yung pananaw niya sa mundo na hindi niya na nilalatag niya na yun para sa'yo. Yun yung foundations kung paano siya magke-create ng explanation kung bakit related ang isang concept to another concept. Okay? Kaya siya nakakapag-generate ng predictions kasi unang-una meron siyang assumptions about the world, how the knowledge is organized. Meron siyang way, no? And then uh, ideally kaya niyang mag-summarize or mag-organize ng knowledge about the world na napapasimple niya. Meron siyang ang tawag doon parsimony. Kaya niyang ma-explain in simple ways yung how the world works, how is it arranged. Okay? Halimbawa, theory of evolutionary psychology stating na ang behavior or traits ng mga tao ay nag-i-stick or nagde-develop dahil sobrang useful niya. So functionality-wise, sobrang useful niya in terms of allowing us to adapt to our environment. Kung sakaling may magbago sa environment natin, yung context, yung parameters ng environment, let's say yung rules of the game, kung sakaling may magbago doon, magke-create lang din tayo ng bagong adaptation or magkakaroon ng ibang set of behaviors that will be adaptive to that new changing environment. So ganun yung kung paano niya ine-explain ang isang behavior. Halimbawa, the way it would try to explain sleep, the way it would try to explain reproductive behavior, the way it would try to explain, let's say, creativity, lahat yon manggagaling sa assumption na, adaptation kasi ang behavior na yan. Kasi, ito yung environment mo kasi masyadong, yung environment mo kasi stable, yung environment mo kasi unstable. Kaya dahil unstable or stable yung environment mo, ito yung behavior na na-produce sa'yo dahil yun yung appropriate adaptation to that environment. So you see, meron siyang mga assumptions at meron din siyang way kung paano niya ine-explain yung concepts. Meron related yung concepts at ino-organize niya yun in a way na meron tayong appreciation uh, kung bakit ganun siya. Okay? So sometimes definition of terms might borrow um, borrow definitions from a theory or kaya naman in terms of how it is perceived by the theory, nire-recognize mo. Kumbaga, nire-recognize mo na ganito ang pagtingin dito sa isang konsepto na to. Okay. Okay. So, may nag-chat. Okay, no problem. So, a prediction is a statement that something will occur. So, yan yung naging product ng theory dahil nga sa assumptions niya about the world, kung paano siya organize ng knowledge and nag-offer siya ng explanation. Okay? So, dahil nag-offer ka ng explanation about the world, you're now, when you apply the theory, eventually, you will create a prediction uh, in terms of ha- how how events can unfold, no? So sinasabi mo na ito yung mangyayari. Ito likely yung ma-observe mo diyan kasi according sa theory na to, ganito dapat eh. This is how the world is organized. So I'm predicting na ganito yung mangyayari diyan. Okay. So okay. So how do we apply itong definition of your terms? So tips, nandito na tayo sa action, okay? Nasa action mode na tayo. What can we get from this clarification? What do we get from this na yung importance ng definition of terms? Ano yung action points na pwede nating kunin sa pag-apply ng idea or pag-observe ng notion that defining a term is important. Okay? So list down, it can be messy muna sa simula. List down other related words to the term and draw a concept map. Ito, this is just a rough draft na parang ano lang naman siya, parang word association na whenever you think about self-regulation, ito yung mga terms na naiisip nyo, no? And then you can organize your concept map later on kapag sinusubukan mo ng intindihin kung paano mo i-define yung concept, okay? Eventually, mas mare-refine mo pa yung word association mo later on. Pero sa simula, hayaan nyo munang maging messy siya. Kaya nga sa pagbabasa-basa nyo, doon nyo mas mare-refine pa siya. So, it's reiterative. Okay. So that's one messy way of doing it. Then to um to further edit that eventually, ito yung very 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 important way of or one technique, another technique on how you can define your term. Once you identify the closest terms, try to look for distinctions by using a Venn diagram. So a Venn diagram is a good tool uh, in order for us to um, to organize our thoughts when it comes to being when it comes to itemizing what characteristics are we going for. So, parang kinakahon natin siya, kina-categorize natin siya. Okay? Ganun yung ginagawa ng Venn diagram. So, kung sinabing yung self-regulation, anong definition mo dyan? So, mapapatanong ka tuloy, ano ba yung kaibahan niya sa self-control? Kasi kung isipin mo, parang pareho lang naman. So, matagal kong iniisip yan noon pa, no, na parang hindi ko ma-figure out nung una na puwedeng mag-linger sa'yo yung mga ganyang musings 'no, na marami kang ma-encounter kadalasan din sa social psychology, na maraming mga terms na hindi malinaw how they are related or how are they similar or how are they different. You need to butcher it down, okay? You need to butcher it down and be diligent enough to butcher it down because, um, to use a term, we need to be diligent in with regard to its use by making sure that we understand what we mean, that we are diligent enough to look up what others have told us about it. Next. So here is an example dito sa self-regulation and self-control. Sobrang fina-follow ko tong author na to eh. Sa isang conference sobrang napuno yung ano niya yung hall niya na hindi ako nakapasok. So I regret that. Kasi ito yung dine-define niya nung time na yun. Mukhang meron na siyang nakuha. Okay, so dito sa article niya, sabi niya, self-regulation refers to a broader set of processes involved in choosing, advancing, and sometimes abandoning a given goal. So napakalaman nitong sinasabi niya. May kinalaman sa decision making yan. But does not require the presence of a motivational conflict. Okay? Ito kasi yung unang-una kong iniisip before eh, na sobrang matunog siya 'no, sa notion ng self-control na, ah, the way you regulate yourself, um, may kinalaman siya sa halimbawa yung common notion ng 'pag restrictive diet na halimbawa hindi ka kakain ng carbs or kaya restrictive in terms of sinabihan ka ng doktor mo na wag ka ng smoke or wag ka ng mag-alcohol. Pero kung merong existing desire, doon sa sinasabi sa'yo na pinagbabawal, nagkakaroon tuloy siya ng tension. So yun yung ibig niyang sabihin na motivational conflict. Dahil it is against a competing force which is yung desire mo nga towards dun sa sinasabi na bawal mo daw i-intake. Okay? So yun yung sa self-control. It will, sabi niya, it involves conflict, motivational conflict, but self-regulation in itself do not um self-regulation as an umbrella term does not necessarily mean that it requires motivational conflict, okay? So, sa kanyang definition, sinabi niya, ito, di ba, ito yung practice natin. So, what it is and what it is not. So, ganun yung ginawa niya. So, naaaliw talaga ako sa author na to. Sabi niya, sabi niya, not all self-regulation involves self-control. Okay? So, itong statement na to, nandito yung tinutukoy niya eh. Sana ba yung ating, ay mag-annotate na lang ako. So, kung mag-draw, can I make a stamp here? So, this is statement 1 dito. Let's put a red. Yan. So, that's number 1. Sabi niya dito, ano yun? Definition of terms. And not all self-regulation involves self-control. So, ibig sabihin, itong conceptual space na to, itong area na to, ito yung self-regulation na walang conflict sa tao. Okay? Halimbawa na lang, yung habit mo na mag-toothbrush araw-araw. Wala ka namang conflicting motivation dun, di ba? Pero self-regulation, self-regulation behavior yun. Kasi nga, meron siyang fina-follow na goal na hygiene, di ba? Gusto mo na maging hygienic ka. You're practicing it. Self-control may be considered a special subtype of self-regulation. So itong statement na yan, ito na yung tinutukoy niya. Okay? Ito na yung tinutukoy niya. Oops. Yan. And sabi niya dito, finally, an underlying motivational conflict seems to be the critical aspect that distinguishes self-control from standard self-regulatory processes. So, nandyan na ngayon pumapasok yung statement nitong self-control. Ngayon, kung messy yung una mong draft sa concept map mo, na word association mo, dahil meron ka ng meaningful understanding on their distinction, ito, hindi pa ako clear about this, I'm just providing an example. Example of self-regulation without conflict. Pero hindi pa malinaw sa akin kung paano ko siya i-organize. So ngayon, sinasabi mo na ang self-regulation is a big umbrella and self-control is just under it. Kasi ito, merong conflict, ito without conflict. So yan na yung ibig kong sabihin sa reorganization of your concept map. So just a caveat, this word map is not a conceptual framework diagram pa. Okay? Hindi pa. Kasi hindi pa malinaw sa akin eh. Parang pwede mo pa siyang i-reorganize ng reorganize. Kapag sufficient na siya, doon mo na siya pwedeng sabihin na conceptual framework diagram siya. Yan kadalasan, itong binubuo mo, yan na yung ginagawa ng mga authors sa theory na sa theoretical framework na sinasabi nila no na ito na yung mga framework actually. Kapag meron na siyang sinusubukang i-explain, pag nabuo mo na to na as you read further at na-reorganize mo na siya, nagkakaroon ka na mas lumilinaw na sa'yo kung ano yung relationship ng concepts and paano mo siya i-apply, 'di ba? Pero sa ngayon, okay lang naman kung nandyan pa lang kayo. Hindi ko rin naman kayo nire-require na magka-map kayo ng sarili niyong theory. Okay? Magka-map kayo ng sarili niyong understanding using your own voice, using your uh, yung mga nababasa nyo at paano nyo na-update yung mga definition nyo kung paano nyo siya naiintindihan. Okay? So another tip on writing, list down as many definitions as possible. And ito yung importante, yung lagi kong sinasabi sa inyo. Identify which ones do you agree with. Okay? Kaya nga yung mga examples nyo, concrete examples nyo, okay lang yan na mag-stick kayo dyan. Kasi kung i-identify nyo kung saan sila nakakahon, baka mas ma-organize nyo siya din in that manner kapag meron kayong actual examples. Then list down as, ito, just a continuation, reorganize the concept map on how the concepts are related. Ito na ngayon. According to the refined definitions na nag-unfold pa as you do your readings. Use the definition of a term by citing the authors who proposed and adopted the term. And when you define the term, don't forget to acknowledge the author, especially kung within the scope ng theory nila yung sinasabi mo. Okay? Ina-acknowledge mo lang na ito ay sabi niya ito daw yung definition nun at nag-agree ako sa perspective na to. Ginagamit ko tong definition na to. Okay? So define the term first. Ito na yung conclusive statement ko sa kanina sa simula before providing a statement about the term. Okay? So i-practice natin yan. So this is the article that I use as an example, but for the earlier parts it's still under Beardsley Thinking Straight book.